This little chicken appears to be nervous. I guess I would be nervous too if I was a chicken in the hands of a chef. On that note, what do you call a bird that's afraid to fly? A chicken. I really think that this little fellow is shy. So what do you do with a shy chick? You try to get it to come out of its shell. But don't worry, little fellow, I'm not cooking any chicken this episode. Silence as I practice my culinary arts. Pump. Oh, shit!
What's up, man? Hey. Shh. Nah, hey, be quiet. Before I put you outside. Okay. I got some clams here. Some shrimp. Fettuccine, sourdough bread slices. All right, so on this episode of the Carolina Cook Show, I will be cooking some, some oven toasted sourdough bread with shrimp and cheese on top. And some clam fettuccine. Let's go, chef! All right, y'all, I've been making a lot of pasta lately. You know what I mean? Sometimes I get on something and I get stuck on it if it's good. And if that's what I want to continue to eat in that moment in time, that's what I'm going to do. All right? So my fettuccine, I've made enough pasta for y'all to know the process, so just go back over the other videos where I made the pasta with the cheese sauces and all of that, and you'll see how I did it. So I'm going to omit that part from the video of making the pasta. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this pasta. 12 minutes. Until it's al dente. 12 minutes. You see, you can stand those noodles up, y'all, and once they, you know what I'm saying, once they begin to cook, they'll just fall down into the pot. They'll just lay on down in there. All right, y'all, so we blotting that shrimp dry with your paper towels or kitchen towel, whatever you decide to use. Get that moisture out of the shrimp. See all of that moisture? It's from the shrimp. Because we're going to saute these. Normally I leave my tails on the shrimp, but since I'm going to be topping the bread with the shrimp, and you may want to just bite into your bread, you don't want to be picking shrimp tails off of it. So we're going to hit the shrimp with a little bit of oil, so that as soon as they hit the pan to start the saute, it'll be all right. And what that oil is going to do is keep them from sticking to the pan once you put them in there to hit them with that saute, even though the pan is going to be oil. So we're going to turn this shrimp into false allegations. They won't stick, even though sometimes they do. So let's crack some black pepper on this shrimp. I'm going to hit it with that smoked sea salt. Smoked sea salt. It's black because it's smoked. So we're going to do a partial saute on these shrimp where they're not really cooked all the way through, because they're going to finish the rest of the way in the oven on top of the toast. All right, we're going to get the shrimp and the clams going. So 2 skillets. Going to add butter to each skillet. Always remember that butter makes everything better as far as cooking goes. Alright, so I'm going to put my clams in this one. Any closed shells you want to discard. Alright? That means something ain't right with it. These shells, these have clearly been cooked already, and that's why they're open. So any clams that are closed, you do not want to use them. And let's just hit that with some Chinese cooking wine. Fresh cracked pepper. Some of that smoked sea salt. Little parsley. This shell is empty right here. One of them got away. Little lemon juice. Drop a little minced garlic in there. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna baste them with that.
Turning these groceries into delicacies. The Carolina cook got the recipe. The Carolina cook got the recipe.
Now, gonna cover those and let them go.
It's the Carolina.
I don't have a cover, so that's gonna have to suffice. Now with my shrimp, hit that butter with some garlic. Some of that Chef Britain seafood seasoning blend. Yeah, we multitasking, y'all. Let's add our shrimp to this butter mixture. We're just gonna partially cook this shrimp. Partially, not all the way through, because you don't want rubbery shrimp. Because it's gonna cook some more once it hits the oven with the bread. Now let's go ahead and flip this shrimp. And like I said, we're not cooking this shrimp all the way through. All right, let's go ahead and get this shrimp out of there. I didn't want to cook it through. I just wanted to get both sides a little sauteed. We're gonna top our bread with this. And like I said, the goal was not to cook the shrimp all the way through. Just to get it pink on both sides, that's it. We're not done with these clams yet. Now I got my sourdough bread on a tray here. All right, I got it lined with foil. Got some non-stick cooking spray on the foil. All right, that's our bread. What I'm gonna do with this bread is douse it with some of that butter, the seafood seasoning blend mixture. Get that bread nice and coated with that butter mixture. We're gonna hit each slice of bread with some shredded cream cheese. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Shredded cream cheese. And we're gonna hit it with some shredded Parmesan cheese. And we're gonna hit it with some parsley. And oh goodness gracious, we're gonna top it with that shrimp. Drizzle that remaining sauce on top. You don't want to waste any flavors. So you got that shrimp topped with Parmesan cheese, cream cheese, and parsley. So drizzle these off with a little more of that butter sauce. This is basically a shrimp toast, basically. All right. In the oven at 350 for 10 minutes.
All right, y'all, I'm topping the clams off with the same type of cheese that I put on top of the toast.
Now, y'all saw me hit the clams with the cheese and everything. Now, let's put a little water in that pan and get a little steam effect going. Cover that, let that cheese melt. Once the cheese melt, we good.
Cooking is my specialty. Dirty in the kitchen like ODB. Turning these groceries into delicacies.
All right, it's been 10 minutes on that toast. Now what I'm gonna do is top it with more cheese. Then once I top it with more cheese, I'm gonna put it under the broiler this time. So we're going back in under the broiler this time. With the broiler, I'm just going by eyesight because I just wanna, get the cheese melted, get the bread a little toasted and a little crisp on top. All right, that's nice and toasted. Let's get it out from under that broiler. All right, it's been under the broiler, y'all. So now it's looking like some type of pizza. All right, we're gonna get that pasta going with that cheese sauce. If you wanna know how I did it, just go look back at some previous videos, man, because we ain't going through that again. That's too much repetition. So you saying repetition is a big word, bro? Repetition means to do something over and over again. To do something repeatedly.
I also use the same type of cheese in my pasta. And there you have it, and I got to have it. And after you saw it, you probably got to have it too. You got that Parmesan and cream cheese fettuccine with the clams on top, topped with the Parmesan and fettuccine cheese, garnished with parsley, and you got that oven toasted sourdough bread with the cheese and shrimp on top.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, another episode down. Another good meal cooked. I am the chef of dinner of the United States. When I'm not in the Oval Office, I'm in the Oval Kitchen. Thank y'all for watching. See you next time. You don't have to go home, but you have to get up out of my kitchen. You out!